So away studentes. So you may remember last week we left off the mythology where Meleager had killed the boar but shared the spoils with Atalanta, who'd made the first blood, the first shot, and his uncles were really offended that a woman shared that. So they came up to him, and Meleager killed them both. And his mother, Althea, is making sacrifices to the gods, as the Romans and Greeks did, to celebrate his victory. But then she sees the bodies of her brothers, his uncles, come in, and she's horrified and very angry. And Ovid, well, here's the story behind this. We have to go back 25 years to when Meleager was born. And when he was born, the Fates were there. You may know about the Fates. They're the goddesses of the Graii. They're the goddesses of how long people live. And they made a string, and they said to Althea, we will make this string as long as this piece of wood, and they took a piece of wood, and they threw it in the fire, as long as this piece of wood is not burnt up. So she's, she's just had this baby, and she reaches into the fire and takes the wood and pours water on it, puts it out, and hides it in the lowest part of her house. Now, fast forward 25 years to when her son killed her brothers, and she goes and she gets it, and she pulls it back out, and she stands by the fire. And Ovid describes it as a ship where the tide's pushing it one way, the tide of revenge is pushing it the other way, and the wind of compassion is pushing it the other way. And he talks about how when she thinks about her son dying at her own hands by her burning of the wood, she had tears coming down her face. Because that's what she's thinking of doing, is putting the wood that defines his life back in the fire. And then when she thinks about her brothers, when she has sisterly feelings, she gets a wicked, revengeful look on her face. And Ovid describes these going back and forth. And she finally says, doesn't my father, the father of my brothers, deserve revenge? And revenge as much as my husband, the father of my son, deserves to have a child. So she's and of course Ovid, that's the way Ovid puts it in terms of the men who are involved. So here are her words. O fates of revenge, O Eumenides, and she's talking to the goddesses of revenge. Turn your faces toward these fearful rites. I take revenge, and I do a wicked thing. Death must be atoned by death. Crime must be heaped upon crime. Let my house be a flood of mourning. And she talks about her husband. Anyway, she says, let's say here. She says, for my part, I cannot suffer it to be that my son survive and become the king of Calydon. Where are my maternal feelings? Where are the sacred allegiances of a parent? Where are the anxieties I suffered over those 10 months of carrying him to birth? Oh, I wish you were an infant burning in those first flames. I had allowed it to be. By my gift you live. But now she says about throwing it into the fire. She says, I yearn to do it, and I cannot do it. What shall I do? Now my brother's wounds are before my eyes, and the image of all that blood. So she's imagining the blood. And now heart's love, and the word a mother gives. Woe to me! Evil is in your victory, my brothers, but victory you shall have. Only let me follow you and the comfort I bring you. And she throws the brand or the piece of wood into the fire and gives, and the piece of wood lets out a sigh of air and burns up. Now, what happened to Meleager? He immediately felt like he was being burned, and Ovid describes that in really some very gross detail. I'll give you your assignment in the document. Thank you for listening.